Right, this is a bit of a instructional video on how I made a spinning tiger saw. So this is how it was when it started. It's completely stationary. Got LEDs in all the inserts of this Theatre of Magic, and standard incandescents still in the GI circuits. Right, this is just a cooling fan I've ripped out of a computer. Snapped all the blades off the fan. What you've got to be careful to do is not to pull this plastic case off, because it sort of holds everything together. So just cut each of the blades off like there and leave that plastic moulded case on. The red and the black wires are the only ones that I need. The blue wire didn't seem to do much. So one thing you need to do is to space it out a little bit more. So just put a little nylock nut on the screw where the saw goes in, and then mix a bit of araldite up. Okay, then just put a dab of araldite. We hope this will stick pretty well on the back part of the fan, of the motor, and then just stick that where the screw would normally go through, because remember, there's no screw required now because the motor will hold it on. Make sure too that you point your wires up in the right direction so that they can be hidden and tucked away. Then leave it to dry for a bit. Then just another dab of araldite, probably a bit less than that. Throw it on the saw. This is never going to come off. And then stick the saw on the motor. Making sure, that it's centered so we don't get a speed wobble up. Rightio, it's glued on now. Like, that's only been there for about 10 minutes, and you can see it spins around pretty well. It's got a tiny wobble in it, but that's the plastic case on the fan, not the actual mounting of the saw. So all sweet. Put it back on the machine. As you're screwing that screw up there near the tiger's nose, remember we got that spacer in there, but only screw it up so that it doesn't clamp on the fan. So now it's installed back in the machine. Again, run your wires underneath that bolt that goes through there. Just put a little cable tie there so they don't get caught up in anything. And there's a very convenient hole at the back to stick these wires through. Had to extend them a bit off the motor from the computer. Okay, once you've threaded the wire up through underneath there, the place I connected it to was the trunk motor. So put your negative to the black wire on the trunk motor and the positive to the red wire, and with this particular type of motor it'll only spin one way. So it only comes on when the trunk motor's working, but because the fan blade's reasonably heavy, it actually spins for a fair bit of time. So if I go into the trunk test, this is what the saw actually looks like. So it only comes on briefly, but you can see it spins for a fair while. So if you're getting hitting the trunk a few times, the blade will keep on spinning. One other thing I thought of doing was putting an LED and sort of shining it up onto the saw blade, but maybe next time. Get on and have a few games right now. Okay, trunk's turning during the game. As you can see, it spins for a while. Loser!